Hi there, how you guys doing? Um, so I wanted to talk a little bit about how to work with your Pyrenees dog. And I know there is a lot of confusing information out there. And the first and most popular one is that Great Pyrenees are stubborn. I agree with the idea of dogs being stubborn, but what if we exchange the word stubborn with persistence, which is a breed trait? So persistence is important for the dog to perform a job. And if the dog will not perform the job that we expect him to do, then he's not persistent. On the other hand, we need to be persistent, because if we're not consistent offering the dog solution to his problem, all we ended up being inconsistent, and the dog will just not paying attention to us. So you see, stubbornness, if we put it this way, is kind of unfair to the dog, because in reality, persistence is why we have a Pyrenees dog. The other hand, we have to see that Great Pyrenees is a very unique, let's say, one of the very unique breeds that are capable to learn such complex jobs that no other breed can do. And not only that, they also have this ability to be able to connect emotionally to the situation. So see it, for example, that we go back in time where Pyrenees still working in the field in the Great Pyrenees mountain region, and those dogs are being educated by their own parents. So the dog's parent, the real physical parent, is it has the puppy attend his job, and the herd, the shepherd, is part of that. So he makes the choice which job the dog is good at. So in a critical time between 12 and 16 weeks, the shepherd knows what tendency that dog has, and then he either keep the dog or has the dog do another job. If we take in the puppy at 8 weeks old, and we're not consistent and we're not educational to our puppy, but expect the puppy to become a pet, and all we do is just doing obedience, we're not teaching the dog basically a job description. So the dog's breed traits will come to surface, and the dog will follow those instincts, because unfortunately or fortunately, the dog's personality depends on, I'm quoting scientific evidence, between 42%, and some evidence suggests 70%, but we are not clear yet how it works. However, looking at a human perspective, because dogs are not just animals, so to speak. We cannot compare them with ants. We cannot compare them with mice. We can compare them with animal species that are very similar to the way we function and how they function. For example, dogs specifically are family oriented. They have this family structure, a non-linear family hierarchy. And I'm telling you that because we're going to go deeper into this point. Because in order for you to manage a Great Pyrenees, no matter if it's a rescue or you just adopted a puppy, you want to come in from a right angle to educate your puppy. So if you start with, I want my dog to be a puppy, I want my dog to be a forever puppy, or I want my dog to be forever pet, or I want my dog to be a working dog, either way you have to start with a core experience. Who are you in relationship to your dog? So once the puppy is removed from his own family, this education, this consistent education is interrupted, and you are called in to supplement that. So you have to really know the dog's genetic predisposition in regards to his tendencies to perform a job. So there are several tests out there. I can share you a couple of links so you go through this and see the breed temperament traits and see which directions they're hitting, so you can proactively start working on those. So if you don't do that, in the first couple of weeks, you're going to lose a big momentum of parenting, leading to your dog start showing behaviors and you being forced to be reactive. But the goal on dog parenting is not being reactive, it's being proactive. So your dog knows exactly how to learn and how to digest those informations you're giving him and implementing them properly in his daily life. So we see many people who are just, oh my cute puppy, oh my cute puppy, oh suddenly my puppy is biting. And then they want quick solutions. Well, it's not as easy because a quick solution always comes up with risks. If I don't understand the function of the behavior, and I don't understand why the puppy is showing me that behavior and doesn't show the other person that behavior, that leads the puppy to fall in between the cracks. And if you're not sure why exactly the puppy is offering that behavior, whatever solution somebody quickly will give you will end up in a disaster long term. And I see suggestions that's like, your dog is jumping and you use a spray bottle, or use a shaker can, or use a shock collar, or use your knee, or whatever people have ideas from. But we don't see that the dog offers a behavior because he either wants to gain more or to avoid situations. And sometimes our quick fix solution is doing more damage to the dog's temperament, which we don't want, because at the end, the Great Pyrenees is a dog who will work independently in his field, in his property, and he has to make decisions. Now, how is the dog making his decisions? Now, we know scientifically speaking that dogs don't have logic the way we have that logic. So if, for example, I ask you the question, what is likely in my pants back pocket? What will be your answer be? Most people will say, well, your wallet. You're a man, you have a wallet in your pocket. Some people will say it would be a phone. Oh, wait, he's talking to his phone, though the phone cannot be. So what else can be in your pocket? And so you go through a logic idea of what could be in my back pocket. Your dog doesn't see that way. He doesn't see a back pocket. The first thing the dog will say, I don't care. And you have a problem with your back pocket. It's your problem, it's not mine. But I know what? If you enter my property, I know what to do, because my instinct tells me don't let anyone in your property that is not family. What defines you as a family? A family is any person in the dog's environment that is consistently there, available. And I'm talking about daily basis. And I'm not considering family your grandmother or your aunt or your grandchildren that come in once a month for a visit. These are not family. They are family to you, but not to your dog. For your dog's perspective, those people are strangers. And over a period of time, consistently introducing him to those particular strangers, the dog becomes comfortable, but they're still not family. So you cannot assume that the dog should know by now that this is your aunt, your brother, your sister, your grandchildren, or your children who are studying out, anywhere outside, and then come home and the dog should be okay with it. That's an assumption. The dog doesn't see it that way. Every time somebody comes to your house, your dog has to reestablish his relationship. And then my question is, well, how do you fix it? How do I fix my dog who is attacking my child? And I agree with you, that's very, very disturbing situation where your child wants to come home, hug his mom, and all of a sudden you have a dog biting his sleeves. So to answer you that question, I would like you to think a little bit of the idea of being in a plane, jumping off the plane, and ask me on your way down, how do you fix that? Because you don't have a parachute. The only thing I can tell you is, you know what? I would pray so you fall somewhere on the slope so you don't get killed. So my point is, it's not about what you're dealing now, right now in that moment. You have to get your dog safely away from the situation, but you have to start seeing that from a different perspective. Who I am in relationship to my dog. Why is my dog reacting to that situation? What does my dog see in that? Which pieces are missing so my dog can make the right call? So considering that again that the dogs don't have logic, they have an intense amount of memory available to remember all different sequences of events that happened in the past. Do you remember exactly how many items were in your sandwich the last time you ate one? Can you remember the shape, the color, the size of a plate, how many utensils you had on your table, how many napkins, how many people sit around you? You don't remember that. Your dog does. I know it sounds silly, but your dog knows exactly what happened back then and what the situation was. He can connect all these dots of all these environmental factors that made this event be an emotional experience. So, for example, if the doorbell rings and 99% of the time you run to the door and open that door and come letting in a stranger, because obviously your family members don't ring the bell, right? Duh. Your dog recognizes that the only one who rings the bell is a stranger. To the question to any dog in any household in US or anywhere in the world, who is likely the one who rings the bell? They will tell you, a stranger. Not because there is logic, but because there is experience. How many of you guys let family members come in through the side door, like the garage entrance? And how many of you deal with UPS guys and delivery at the front door? You see right there, because of your way to create your dog's environment and create the dog's job description, you basically create that level of working experience that your dog has to refer to. Now, you leave for vacation and the pet sitter comes in and wants to let the dog out. Obviously, he will come in from the front door. Guess what your dog will assume? Based on the statistics, it's an intruder because you're gone and he has to take care of business. So we see that if we are not being proactive, educating our dogs in all these individual parts of his job description and being able to break it down in pieces that your dog can understand, you will not be able to change the dog's behavior. So, would you use any aversive tools to correct your dog's behavior? No, because you're physically not correcting a behavior that is a job description. You create this frustration. Because if your dog doesn't know the job, it's not on his fault, it's on your fault. Because the dog 100%, like 100%, will do what he believes is appropriate and in the best interest in that situation, based on the information he has from the past. Now, if we say we have to teach the dog who's the master and what he's supposed to do and follow your instructions, my question is, how had you proved yourself to be reliable since your dog has a problem and you're not actively solve the problem, you're actively correcting your dog for that behavior? So your relationship is damaged by you trying to correct the behavior. There's nothing wrong from your dog's perspective. The dog doesn't see that it's wrong because your dog is accurately proceeding based on his experience, what that is, what's happening in front of him, and what his emotions are associated to that. I try to keep things simple. Don't take me wrong here. I'm not saying what you do is wrong. I'm not saying what you do is right. I'm just triggering you to think about it. So many clients ask me the question, well, my dog should do that, and how can I get it done? Quick fix will always come at a high cost. I'm not saying forever fix works too, okay? However, it has to come in with a consistency. If your dog is not emotionally capable of handling certain situations, he's supposed not to be exposed to that. A puppy until, let's say, 6 months, he's not being able to handle complex events outside of his family because he doesn't have enough information to process it. Therefore, everything that happens outside of that frame is considered threatening. While you're trying to socialize your dog with all these people outside in the world and the dog doesn't have the ability to process what's happening, all this information goes down the drain in the wrong place. So picture this. You have a dog and the memory has to be stored. The brain is a great tool. I would say it's a manager, it's a processor that can process a lot of things at the same time. However, where the memory sits, it's in the dog's body. All over his dog's body. Each individual cell has information that a dog experienced in kind of like a zip form, like a short version. So it imprints that experience in an emotional feedback, good and bad. So each event has a good or bad tag on it. So if the doorbell rings, the dog has to make a quick decision whether that is a good outcome or a bad outcome, and he accordingly reacts guarding or happy. So you're playing with emotions. You're playing with excitement and anxiety. Excitement is when you come home. Anxiety is if another person rings the doorbell. And how is your response? You want to correct that response? There's nothing wrong with that response. What your goal is to change the dog's mind what to expect in that event. And since your dog will be so frustrated right that moment if that happens, that is the wrong time to do so. So what you have to do is you start being proactively starting introducing him individual pieces. Let's stick to the door a little bit. What does meeting a person and a dog include? It includes the dog, inside, outside, door, and you, in that case, and a person who is behind the door. When the doorbell rings, the first thing the dog comes into his mind, problem, not family, invasion, and whatever additional emotional traumatic experience is associated to that. Is that a reason to correct your dog for barking? Because you're frustrated? Because you're embarrassed? No. What I'm teaching my dog is the doorbell announces a good event. That's it. A doorbell is the announcement of a good event. So you can teach your dog positively without any harm, without any punishment, without any corrections, to explain to him that every time that doorbell rings, your job is to go to your bed, sit down, and wait for further instructions. That makes me happy. And you know what makes me happy? If you're happy. And to make you happy, I give you something that is of a value. Now, what is a value to a dog? A value to a dog is the primary reinforcer in that case, which is safety in that house, because he's a guardian breed. It's not the dog treat. So, safety is the primary reinforcer. Because of safety, the dog will do that. If a dog doesn't feel safe, he will not sit on your spot. If your dog doesn't feel safe, he will not follow you through instructions. If a dog doesn't feel safe that you can solve his problems, he will not listen to you at the first place. So you have to establish that sense of safety. And now we're reaching the point of secure attachment relationship. If your dog doesn't feel safe and you're not consistent, and your dog is not sure what options, opinions you have this time because last time you thought differently, and so you're not persistent and you're not consistent to your description, then your dog will lose interest. You see, suddenly, even we blame the dog for misbehavior, you are the root of the problem. But it's not that you cannot fix it. It's easy to fix. All you have to do is establish secure attachment relationship. Make your dog feel safe. Make your dog feel understood. Make your dog feel that you will take care of it. So you have to start with small increments. Teaching the dog that you can solve his problems. Simple problems in the beginning, so he starts trusting you more. You don't go big time, having 15 people ringing at the bell. You're not overworking your dog, introducing him to strangers, because he has to recognize what is the difference between that stranger and the other stranger. Because at some point you have a guardian breed. At some point his genetics will kick in, and his genetics tell him that somebody is invading our space. That is an intruder. And then the dog has to make a choice. What would be happening next? I want my dog to check in with me. I want my dog to bark. I want my dog to be a guard in my property. But I don't want him to make the final call. I want him to come to me. Now, in order for him to come to me, he has to trust me. And he should not be afraid of me. How many of you have children, and how many of you want your child to give you a call if he ends up in a problem? And how many of you will reprimand your child of being in a problem? I told you you should not drink while before you drive, and now you're giving me a call 4 o'clock in the morning to come and pick you up. Do you think that child will call you up next time? You see, if you prepare the field in the wrong way, you will not get what you need. What's the point for your child to be safe? Is this you being right or your child being wrong? It's about the child being safe and learn from that experience. So you cannot reprimand your child for calling you. You have to thank your child for calling you. So if my dog is barking at the fence, I appreciate my dog for doing so, and because of that, I want him to come to me to get rewarded for barking, and then go to his place to get his final payment, because I got it from here. So a guardian dog in the field is still a guardian dog in the home. You cannot take that away, because otherwise you should get another dog. But what you want is to modify the job description to a level that is acceptable in a home, because he's not in the woods. And to do so, you have to understand exactly what you want from your dog. But you also have to recognize the limitations of your dog. How far can my dog function in that particular job that I have in mind that eventually is not possible to be performed by my dog? So you see, correcting a dog for behavior is not the proper way to do. Educating your dog, make your dog smarter, make your dog understanding what he's dealing with, and have him make those choices up to a point where he says, now from now on, I'm not sure what to do. Good, then check in with me. If you check in with me, you get rewarded. And if you get rewarded, I'll give you a solution to dismiss you from that job and give you a better job. So you want to come in from an angle, I will never ever take the job away from my dog. I want to improve my job description. I want to improve my dog's ability to perform the job, because if the dog doesn't have a job, he's worthless. I don't know if some of you guys being ever adopted in a family, what was the most important thing for you to be in that family? Being accepted of who you are. And I think we should take that in consideration, because that dog needs appreciation for who he is. He is an individual, sentient being that is in your family because he really cares for your family. And he will put his life in stake to protect his family. But his family need to appreciate that action. And if you not appreciate that action, then I don't think you should have that dog. You should have another species that you don't need to appreciate because it's just there eating grass off your yard, maybe a goat or something. So I want to be very careful that blaming the dog without creating a job description is like punishing a person that doesn't know your law. Well, there are warnings. You can express your discomfort to your dog, but you have to be clear what you don't like. You don't like your dog to be a guardian breed? No, I don't like you to make decisions without my permission. That's what I don't like. So I can express my discomfort and, hey, call my dog off what he's just doing and explain to him that there is better than there. That here, his position is being appreciated, and over there, his position would not appreciate it. So once you teach your dog consequences, then your dog understands that his action has a consequence. Doesn't mean to be punished. Consequence doesn't mean punishment. The consequence of me pushing that switch is the light will go on. Am I being punished for that consequence? No, but I learned that if I push that button, that light goes on. And if I push 3 times that button and that light doesn't go on, I make an assumption, I'm not sure yet, I make an assumption the light bulb is off. Why? Because there is a consistency. That if I push that button, that light goes on 99% of the time. So I'm not blaming myself. I likely believe the lamp is off. So if your dog sees that you are consistent and one thing doesn't work, he will blame himself. And he will like, oh wait, maybe it's something that I do wrong. Thank you for thinking that way. I appreciate you for not blaming me when I dislike your actions, because I'm clear what I like and I don't like. So you see, parenting is not just about feeding your dog, cleaning up poop, and vacuuming all day long with all this hair all over the place, but it's about making your dog be able to work in his highest potential on his job that you call home. It's a home job. But because it's a home job doesn't mean it's less worth than being in the field. I feel it's more complex for a dog to be a home dog than it is to be outside in the field. The job is very clear. It's very clear. He saw it. He experiences it every day. But home, human environment is so complex that only a genius can survive there. So it's up to you to make your Pyrenees a genius dog by giving information that he needs to process the event. Give him accurate information. Give him information that always leads to a positive solution and not to a bad experience, and definitely not from your side. Thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, you're welcome to post there. I look forward to see what you have to say about that.